Ms. Porscha Sellers. This is my case study presentation, and the student that I did it on was Deshaun Rayford. About Deshaun. Deshaun is 8 years old. He's in the second grade. He has three younger brothers, so he's the oldest. Deshaun's parents are both present in the home. And Deshaun, he suffers with a learning disability, and he is also on a kindergarten level academically. Here's our little about Deshaun. Here's Deshaun's interests and strengths. Deshaun loves to play soccer and run track. His favorite food are hamburgers. His favorite subject is math, and which is his strongest subject. Deshaun also likes to prank his classmates. Deshaun's academic and behavioral challenges. As previously discussed, Deshaun is on the kindergarten level academically. Um, the reading and writing is the areas that he lacks in the most. He just tends to withdraw anytime he is given an assignment that he has to write in or read. Um, he doesn't complete any assignments that are given if there are reading and writing assignments, and he's constantly being told to stay on task. I have to be over his shoulder to make sure he completes anything and to focus on what he's doing. Here's his academic behavioral and challenges. Here's Deshaun's academic behavior history. Um, Deshaun has repeated the second grade. His parents were against putting him in bed previous years. Deshaun was also in a position that he was going to fail the first grade, but he was able to go um, to a summer school, and that boosts his grade up a little bit. And so this is his first year in special education. He received a score of a 97 on the Wessler nonverbal scale, which is average. He also maintained a passing grade for math and social studies. And he also has deficits in reading, decoding, and also reading comprehension, which affects his ability to read and comprehend on grade level. Like I said before, reading and writing, the area that he lacks in the most, and that the areas that he takes the most time in completing any assignments. So here's our Deshaun's academic behavior history. So I did an observation of Deshaun in three settings, which were the resource room, the general ed classroom, and also the in lunch. Typically in the general ed classroom, of course, it's more students, and in our class, we had 24 in all. Um, Deshaun tends to be his own world when he's in a general ed classroom. He will pick his nose as well, like there's there's no one there. Um, and there are sometimes that Deshaun can be talkative with the students that sit in his section, but in lunch, Deshaun interacts with more students. He tends to play with his food or prank others. He likes to take their food or play with it. He also sits and talk with the students that's normally in trouble the most. But in the end, it just seems like sometimes he doesn't have anything in common with those students. The students that typically are in trouble the most that were in my class, they are also known as some of the smart kids. That's kind of basically be on pace. They're either mainly talkative and kind of hyper, but they are very smart, and I think that's one of the reasons why Deshaun seems to not have anything in common with them, because the conversations that those students have, it doesn't interest him, and the conversations that Deshaun talks about with them, it doesn't interest them as well. So that's some. I think that's one of the main reasons why he doesn't have anything in common with them. In the resource room, Deshaun seems to be more comfortable. Uh, he asks for help when he struggles, which he doesn't typically do in um, the general ed classroom. He 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 also completes his work, and I think that's probably because there are less distractions in the resource room, and there are also less students. And of course, you have a teacher that can help you often than when he's in the general ed classroom, and he has like that kind of uh, like he's not able to be embarrassed when he asks questions more in the resource room because there are less students to judge him, and I feel like that's what the big reason of that. Um, in his IEP, it states that he spends at least 120 minutes in the resource room, which he typically take tests majority of the time there, or complete assignments that he hasn't done in from the general ed class. He would do that in the resource room, and he would tend to complete his work there. Here's some of Deshaun's social strengths and challenges. As stated previously, Deshaun is sometimes in his own world, and he tends to talk with himself and also off task, versus the other students that's always kind of, well, not always focused, but sometimes more focused than him and completes his assignments. It's a big difference that I see with him versus the other students in the classroom. The students he sits beside complains about him pranking them, and even with him picking his nose. Um, Deshaun would take his peers' belongings and hide it to make a joke, which causes confrontation between the other students, because as he take their things, they would take his, and they would just get in this big argument. Um, that's something that I always have to get on Deshaun about, because he is the initiator of that. So that's basically kind of a problem with him. He's not really a bad child, but he just loves to be funny. Deshaun also seems to not have anything in common with the majority of the students, especially the students that sits in his section, because they typically like the PACE students that talks about more of aircraft, military life. They're thinking it's very broad than Deshaun's. So I think typically that's why he doesn't have anything in common. He's also very active in sports. Deshaun plays for a community team, and he plays soccer. So that's something that would kind of boost Deshaun's social skills. And he does have people that likes him and wants to be around him. So I think that seems kind of a good effective interventions. Working with Deshaun one on one was best for him. That's most of the time what I had to do with him to complete his assignments. Um, he needs a lot of his assignments read to him, which is states in his IEP as well. Like we previously stated, that Deshaun reads on the kindergarten level, so not on grade level, and he he would just basically withdraw if he's not able to read the assignment. If he's not able to write what he is thinking, he withdraws, and he doesn't ask for any help. So I pull him to the table, the small group table, and we work one on one. He's able to ask me any question that he needs, and help. So he's basically able to complete his assignments a little bit more when we work one on one. Deshaun also receive accommodation of more time, because, like stated, he takes more time than majority of the students in his class to complete one assignment. So he is given more time. On his test, Deshaun is also he has limited answer choices and questions on his test. But he does take his test majority of the times in a resource room, which there is less distractions and less students. On the reflection of the intervention, even though Deshaun receives accommodation to be academically successful, he seems to never be on task. We can implement the intervention, but the thing for him to actually be successful in completing his assignments, we have to be on him constantly. He works well with us, but it's just not, I guess, um, realistic to actually be working with a student in a general class one-on-one all through the day. And that's something that Deshaun really needs to complete his assignment, because he won't do anything unless we stay on him. Um, he of course is more successful in the resource room, I think, because he's given more time, and it's less distraction, less students, and he able to be in a space where he can be himself and not think about how he can be embarrassed, I guess, or judged with the other students in his general class. And I feel like he thinks that way. I learned a lot from Deshaun, but the most important thing that stood out to me was having patience and never giving up. Deshaun, he never gave up. He made sure he did what he had to do to be successful. He made sure he did what was asked of him. He always showed a positive attitude. I never had any problems with him nagging or getting an attitude with me because he doesn't want to do this, or that. He's, like I said before, he's not a bad child. I didn't have much behavior issues with him. He was just a little talkative at times, but other than that, he's a great student. He just needs someone to give him that push, to believe in him, and to have patience with him. So that's what I've learned, to sit back, think, to, be in Deshaun's shoes, and to feel how he feels for a moment, because he is able to do it. And if so, we should never give up on students like that, because there always will, in the end, something positive will show in it. So, but this is my presentation. Thank you.